Our president is going to save the world by requiring soft drink makers to use real sugar instead of high-fructose corn syrup, HCFS. Praise be! That said, in my humble opinion, Mexican Coca-Cola is 1,000 times better than American Coke, and always will be. Why? It's not because of the real sugar. It's because it's bottled in glass and not metal coated with some unidentifiable inner liner material. Anyway, it's truly inspiring to witness the bold and independent spirit of American food and drug regulation. While the rest of the developed world is busy fussing over things like safe ingredient levels and preventative health, the good old US of A marches to the beat of its own heavily processed, artificially flavored drum. Take, for instance, the ongoing saga of HFCS. We've got some very serious-sounding researchers hinting that this delightful concoction might be the obesity supervillain we've all been waiting for, possibly even giving cancer cells a turbo boost. Then you have the "it's all just sugar bro, relax" squad. Who's right? Who fucking knows? Grab a Coke and a smile and let's talk about that magical liquid gold that sweetens your favorite can of carbonated bliss. You see, once upon a time, your soda was boosted with cocaine and sweetened with good old-fashioned sugar. You know, the stuff that comes from plants, like sugarcane. They call it sucrose. It's a quaint little molecule where two simpler sugars, glucose and fructose, hold hands in a loving chemical bond. Then, sometime in the 1970s, some very clever people in lab coats, spurred on by government corn subsidies that made corn absurdly cheap, figured out how to make a liquid sweetener from all that excess corn. They called it high-fructose corn syrup, which is a brilliant marketing move if your goal is to sound both scientific and vaguely healthy. So what the hell is HFCS? Let's take a quick ride through the chemistry factory. Step 1. Nuke a corn kernel. First, they take mountains of corn and basically blast it apart in a process called wet milling. Forget the husk, forget the fiber, forget anything remotely healthy. They're on a mission to get one thing: pure white cornstarch. It's the bland, powdery soul of the corn kernel. Step 2. Unleash the slime. Okay, slime might be a bit much, but it's not far off. Cornstarch is just a super long chain of sugar molecules, all holding hands. To break them up, scientists dump in special proteins called enzymes. Think of it like this. Enzyme number 1, alpha amylase, is like a big pair of scissors that snips the long chain into smaller pieces. Enzyme 2, glucoamylase, is like a tiny pair of scissors that snips those smaller pieces until every single glucose molecule is floating around on its own. They take all that lonely glucose and introduce it to a new enzyme, the star of our show, glucose isomerase. This enzyme is like a little wizard. It grabs a glucose molecule, rearranges its atoms like it's solving a Rubik's Cube, and poof, it's now fructose. Why bother? Because fructose is way sweeter than glucose. It's like turning a regular light bulb into a laser beam of sweetness. But the enzyme doesn't change all the glucose, just a bunch of it. The result is a mix of fructose and glucose floating around in a liquid. The most common version, HFCS 55, is what's in your favorite soda. It's about 55% fructose, making it just as sweet as table sugar. So there you have it. They take surplus corn, pulverize it, unleash a torrent of enzymes on it, and perform a chemical magic trick to create a super sweet, super cheap liquid. Also, a giant corporation can save a few pennies making the soda you're drinking right now, and the farmers' lobby can continue to buy new land yachts. So what's the actual practical difference when it hits your soda can? Well, chemically, they're distressingly similar. Table sugar, sucrose, is about 50% fructose and 50% glucose, neatly bonded together. The most common HFCS used in sodas, HFCS 55, is, wait for it, about 55% fructose and 42% glucose. When you drink a soda with sugar, your own body has to do the work of breaking that sucrose bond. With HFCS, the work has already been done for you. It's the pre-chewed food of the sweetener world. After all the scientific squabbling, the big takeaway is this: arguing whether high-fructose corn syrup is more fattening than regular sugar is a pointless exercise. While some lab rats might disagree, the evidence shows they're both equally effective at the job. The real problem isn't which type of sugar you're overeating. It's that you're overeating sugar. It's all just empty calories looking for a place to become fat. What about cane sugar? Isn't pure cane sugar better than table sugar? Great question. It gets right to the heart of our glorious, label-obsessed, and fundamentally confused relationship with food. So you're standing in the grocery aisle looking at 2 bags of white, crystalline powder. One says cane sugar, the other, often larger and cheaper, just says sugar or table sugar. What your brain asks is the difference. Brace yourself for the earth-shattering truth. For most intents and purposes, there isn't one. It's like asking the difference between a genuine bovine leather belt and a cowhide belt. You're getting a belt made from a dead cow. Here's a breakdown for the cynic in all of us. Cane sugar had the decency to tell you its life story. It comes from squeezed sugarcane stalks. That's it. It's proud of its heritage and wants you to know it. It's the sugar that's studied abroad and won't shut up about it. Table sugar is the mysterious, generic brand. It's also chemically sucrose, just like its cane sugar cousin. But it has a secret it's not legally obligated to share. It could be from sugar cane, or it could be from sugar beets. Yes, fucking beets. Those nasty purple things we all push around our plates and never eat. The sugar industry figured out how to extract chemically identical sucrose from them. Since sugar beets can be grown in more temperate climates, like parts of the U.S., they are often a more economical choice for big sugar rather than importing. So, the real difference is about marketing and origin, not substance. Chemically, nutritionally, and calorically, refined white sugar from a beet is about the same as refined white sugar from a cane. It's all 99.9% pure sucrose. Your body cannot tell the difference as it processes them into glucose and fructose and sends them on a joyous, insulin-spiking journey through your bloodstream. The only time it sort of matters is, quote, for ultra-picky bakers. Some pastry chefs will swear on their mother's grave that cane sugar caramelizes better, or that beet sugar has a faint earthy aroma. This is the stuff of high-level food snobbery that 99.9% of us will never detect while inhaling a cookie. I have baked both side by side, and in a blind taste and sniff test, I could not tell the difference. Now I'm craving a cookie. For our strict vegan friends, the process to decolorize and whiten cane sugar sometimes involves bone char. Bone char, sometimes politely referred to as natural carbon, is, quite literally, the charred skeletal remains of animals. So how is that Black Death used to purify sugar? Imagine raw sugar syrup, freshly extracted from sugar cane. It's not the snowy white you see in the bag. It's a bit brown and full of impurities like amino acids, minerals, and various colorants. To achieve that desirable, almost unnaturally pure white color, it needs to be filtered. This is where our morbid protagonist, bone char, enters the stage. The raw sugar liquor is passed through enormous columns packed with bone char. The magic is in the porous, carbon-rich structure of the char. It functions as a decolorizing filter using a principle called adsorption. The unwanted color bodies and other inorganic impurities like sulfates, magnesium, and calcium get trapped in the tiny pores of the bone char, clinging to its surface. What emerges is a clearer, more refined sugar syrup that can then be crystallized into the sparkling white granules you know and love. The key takeaways here are: it's a color thing. The main goal isn't necessarily to make sugar purer in a health sense, but to make it whiter. We, the consumers, have been conditioned to believe that brilliant white equals clean. Think clouds, teeth, tidy-whities, and wedding dresses. The industry simply obliged with the most effective, albeit macabre, tool at its disposal: cane sugar's dirty little secret. This process is primarily used for cane sugar. Sugar derived from beets undergoes a different refining process that doesn't require a bone char filter because the initial juice is less colorful. So, your generic table sugar might have dodged the boneyard if it's from beets. Don't worry, baby. The bone char does not end up in the final sugar product. It's a filter, a processing aid. But for many, particularly vegans, the fact that an animal byproduct was so intimately involved in the process is enough to make them seek alternatives. Fucking whack jobs. Modern refineries can use other methods like granular activated carbon, made from coal or wood or ion exchange resin systems. However, bone char is cheaper, stubbornly effective, and has been used for centuries, so many refineries just stick with what works. So, when you gaze upon a glistening bowl of white sugar, take a moment to appreciate the journey. It may have passed through a filter made from the incinerated bones of cattle, all to satisfy our deep-seated aesthetic preference for perfect whiteness. It's a beautiful, metal-as-hell testament to industrial food processing. So when you see pure cane sugar on a label, you're paying a small premium for the comforting knowledge that your sugar came from a tropical grass instead of a root vegetable. It's the illusion of a more natural or pure choice, a masterful trick of marketing that we all willingly fall for. Either way, it's still just sugar. The irony isn't lost on anyone with a functioning prefrontal cortex. Despite a roughly 25% drop in HFCS use since 2000 and a slight uptick in table sugar consumption, our obesity rates have continued their triumphant climb. It's like we're playing a delicious game of whack-a-mole with our health, except every mole is a different kind of sugar, and we're all slowly losing. Yeah, stevia is generally considered a healthy alternative to sugar. It has no calories, doesn't raise blood sugar levels, and won't cause cavities. However, like most things that seem too good to be true, there are a few catches. Stevia, your healthy sugar, is a highly processed lie. So you've decided to break up with sugar altogether. Good for you. You've probably run into the arms of its trendy, green-labeled replacement, stevia. It's natural. It's from a plant. It has 0 calories. What could possibly be wrong? Let's get one thing straight. The sweet white powder in that little packet isn't just a crushed-up leaf from the jungles of South America. Oh, no. That leaf has been on a journey through a factory where it was subjected to processing and purification to extract the specific sweet compounds. So calling it natural is like calling a hot dog farm to table. Okay, to be fair, stevia does have some perks. It's the free pass of the sweetener world. Your body literally doesn't know how to use stevia for energy, so it just passes right through to your poop. That's 0 calories. Stevia won't spike your blood sugar, so you can sweeten your coffee without your pancreas staging a protest. And since it's not sugar, stevia doesn't feed the cavity-causing bacteria in your mouth. Basically, it's sweetness without the immediate, obvious consequences. But before you start baking a healthy cake, let's talk about the downsides. For many, stevia leaves a bitter, licorice-like aftertaste, as if to remind you that you're cheating on real sugar. Because of that aftertaste, most stevia products are blended with other things, often sugar alcohols like erythritol, which can leave you feeling bloated and gassy. Fun. And here's the real tea. You're still just feeding your craving for intensely sweet things. Using stevia to make processed junk food seem healthy is like putting a spoiler on a garbage truck. It doesn't change what's inside. So, is stevia better for you than a spoonful of sugar? Yes, in the same way that getting hit by a bicycle is better than getting hit by a bus. It's a useful tool if you're managing diabetes or truly need to cut calories. But don't fool yourself into thinking you're suddenly a health guru. You've just found a more clever way to satisfy your sweet tooth. But sugar isn't the only problem. Meanwhile, across the pond and pretty much everywhere else with decent health care, they're banning many of the ingredients Americans still happily sprinkle on our breakfast cereals and crackers. Europe and Asia are labeling things with the kind of transparency that would make American food manufacturers spontaneously combust. They're acting like maybe, just maybe, putting known carcinogens in our snacks isn't the pinnacle of human achievement. But hey, who needs all that pesky regulation when you have freedom? Freedom to choose between 37 different brands of artificially flavored cheese-like product. Freedom to consume enough sodium in one meal to embalm a small elephant. Freedom to ponder with every bite whether that natural flavoring is actually derived from something that was once alive. So let the Europeans fret over their clean eating and their sensible portion sizes. Here in America, we'll continue to innovate in the field of edible chemicals, secure in the knowledge that our regulatory system is less of a watchdog and more of a sleepy golden retriever who occasionally licks the hand of big food. Ah, yes, the sleepy golden retriever model of public safety. It's a brilliant system, really. While other nations have regulatory bodies that act like fiercely trained German shepherds, sniffing out danger and baring their teeth at the first sign of corporate malfeasance, ours is, let's just say, more of a wily little lab. A good girl who's easily distracted by a squeaky toy thrown by a lobbyist. You can practically picture it. The FDA, let's call her Frida, is snoozing peacefully on a plush rug in a marble-halled government building. A new additive, let's call it Sweet Goop, strolls in. It's been banned in 27 other countries because preliminary studies showed it might make lab rats sprout extra limbs. But hey, the paperwork filed by the Mega Food Corp is in order. Frida's ears might twitch. She might open one eye, give a lazy tail thump, and then accept a nice, juicy, steak-flavored campaign contribution treat from Sweet Goop's handler. Good girl, Frida. She's not here to ask hard questions. She's here to not make a mess on the carpet and to roll over for a belly rub when the quarterly profit reports come in. Meanwhile, in Europe, their watchdog has already chased Sweet Goo up a tree and is waiting for it to be safely removed from the continent forever. But here, we get to be the grand experiment. We get to find out firsthand if our kids will start glowing in the dark after a lifetime of eating rainbow-colored fruit snacks. It's not a bug. It's a feature of American exceptionalism. This golden retriever doesn't fetch evidence. It waits for the ball to be gently placed in its mouth, usually decades after consumers have been beta testing the product. It doesn't guard the house, it just assumes everyone who walks in is a friend, especially if they come bearing gifts. The hand of big food doesn't just get licked, it gets a full, slobbery, adoring bath. And we, the trusting owners, just keep filling the food bowl, hoping Frida eventually wakes up before the house burns down. God bless America. and pass the extra large, suspiciously blue snack food.